Hey everyone, it's Sean again, and in this video we're going to be talking about independence. So we just had July 4th here in America, and that's our Independence Day. And so what does that have to do with the Course? Well, Jesus does tell us in the Course that at some point we have to be willing to declare our independence from the ego. And so, because we don't even recognize that we think we're free, not realizing that we're actually in bondage and slavery to the ego. As long as that guilt is buried deep in our mind, as Jesus points out in the guilt in the Course, guilt and sin demand punishment. So, how can we be free if we're really kind of always living our life in a way that we're either scared of punishment or we're setting ourselves up for punishment in some way? There's no freedom in that. So, and that is that slavery to the ego, and by following its guidance instead of the Holy Spirit. So, again, we think we are free then. We think that freedom involves freedom of the body, freedom of our liberties, and all of that. When look at all the people that are enslaved by their anger, their hatreds, their guilt, their shame, and so on. And look at the people throughout history whose bodies have been enslaved, yet their minds weren't. So that tells us that real freedom is a choice. But first we have to be willing to recognize that, this life I've been living, it's just kind of repeating the same thing over and over, not recognizing that I've been a slave to my desires and a slave to my wants, and that's all based on lack and limitation and scarcity, which the ego is always reminding us that there's, what we don't have, what we're lacking. There's always something more. There's always something you're not worthy of, and that's the meaning of being a slave to that to the ego mind, to that unconscious guilt, because we don't recognize that we are a slave to it. And the only way we can free ourselves is first to be willing to recognize that, oh, this is what I have been doing here. And this is, where all my thoughts and the direction of my mind has been going in that direction, that I'm trying to fulfill a lack that can't be fulfilled. Then we become a slave of that pursuit. And what Jesus is trying to get us to do is to declare our independence from that picture of guilt and everything that involves with that, and pursuing all the things that we think we need, that even when we get them, we're still not happy. So that real freedom comes when we start to experience that true happiness, that true peace, and that true joy that comes from not having anything. It's not about getting anything or having something or being something. It's an experience that comes once we free our mind, once we begin to free our mind through the power of forgiveness, of letting things go that we've been hanging on to. We start to feel a little more peaceful about it now. And we start to feel like, I'm free to be more myself now. I don't have to be a slave to a title, a position, what I want people to think about me. It doesn't matter anymore. And now I'm free to just allow those ideas to come to me, those ideas of how we really are, those ideas of real creation, the ideas of we are as God created us, which is holy, pure, and innocent. But as long as we're hanging on to the guilt, we're slave to that. We can't experience that. Those thoughts don't even make sense to us. And so by the practice of forgiveness and the willingness to declare our independence from the ego, say, I'm tired of this now. All right, Holy Spirit, I'm ready to follow you. I don't know how, I don't know what that looks like, but I see what this looks like because I'm doing my whole life. And it's always the same thing over and over. The form may be different, but the content's still the same. The pain and misery, anger, frustration, and all that comes along with it. That is of that path. It can't be anything more than that. We can have great times and not so great times. That's duality. It's always going to be of that duality, of that world, of that path, because that's the duality of separation. we can have experience of freedom followed by experience of bondage and slavery. So there's no lasting freedom in that. So what the Course is offering us here is there's another path. This is a path of true freedom. We're freeing ourselves from this sense of separation from God, sense of separation from our source, and that freeing ourselves from all the lack, the limitation, and the scarcity that is of that other path. And when the mind is free to finally relax and be itself, and to start to have those experiences where we're guided in this life, and everything is provided for us that we do need. It may not be what we think we need, but we don't know what our best interests are. So when we're finally giving all that up and saying, you know what, Holy Spirit, I do recognize that you do know what's best for me, and I'm willing to follow your guidance now and this path. And everything is provided for us that is beneficial to us and everyone concerned. Doesn't mean we have to give up anything we're doing in life. You don't have to give up your job, your career, your business, your relationships, your home, none of that. All we're giving up is the meaning we've made of it, because that's the cause of all of our bondage, so to speak, and that we don't feel free because we're so tied up in all this stuff. And so when we give up the meaning of it, allow a new interpretation to come to us, a new purpose for it, then it begins to free us up. Then we start to recognize what it's really for. And it's not for what we thought it was for, but it's more of the purpose is about freeing us from everything we thought we needed to do here. That, and the last thing we are experiencing is that lasting happiness because of that wrong purpose that we gave it. So declaring our independence from the ego. The ego is not going to allow us to be happy as long as we follow it. Well, what little happiness we do get is fleeting. It's just temporary. So there is another form of happiness that's always there, another form of peace that's always been there. It doesn't change, but we've buried it up through all of our other pursuits or things that we think will make us happy and things that will bring us peace. Yet, considering that we're going around building fortresses to surround ourselves with, that it's just that we don't know what that really is, or how to have that peace and that happiness and that joy. So declaring independence from that and becoming totally dependent upon God and through the voice for Him, the Holy Spirit, that really does bring about a freedom that we can't experience of the world. We can still be in the world, but we no longer have to be of it. And so that's the key to remember there. So anyway, I just want to share that with you, and hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about that or need clarification, leave a comment below. And if you have any ideas for any other topics you want me to talk about, let me know and I'll do my best, okay? So y'all have a wonderful day and be good to each other, okay? I'll see you in the next video.